So you can see I've got my stitch markers here, which is where I wanted my straps. We're going to turn it, so we're going to crochet back across there. And what we're going to do, we're going to crochet into the strap, but we're going to slip stitch into the main part, which is the back of the skirt, which is this bit here. I've done my chain 3 for my first stitch, and then my other stitch marker, I've just taken it out so it's easy for me to crochet, but it was 1, 2, 3, and then in the next space it was in there. That's where I want to join my strap, but we're not going to work into the actual spaces. I just did that and filmed it, but it looked completely weird. So we're going to join it the same way that we did the bib to the front. So we're going to go in between the legs of the middle crochet, so our group of 3 there, we're going to go into the middle. And we're going to work a slip stitch, so we're going to grab that yarn from underneath and pull through. Oops. Keep it on your hook. And then just pull snug so that it stays there and it doesn't go really loose. Now we need to do 2 more double crochets into that first space. And we're going to slip stitch into the next group of 3 double crochet here, and we're going to go to the middle stitch and go to the legs and go into the middle there. Grab that yarn from the back and pull through our slip stitch, pull snug. Into the next space on our strap we are going to work 3 double crochet. And then going up to our skirt, we are going to slip stitch into that middle stitch like we've been doing the whole way across. I'm just going to remove that stitch marker, it's now in the way. And we're going to grab our yarn from the back and pull through. Oh, you just saw that I haven't sewn in my ends. Oof. I'm going to do that later. We go down to the strap and we do 3 double crochet into that space. Again into the next available shell. We've done this one here. Going to go into that one and we're going to go to the middle. Grab that yarn at the back. I'm grabbing it with our crochet hook. Whee. It's not just you that feels all thumbs, it feels a bit weird to me as well. We're going to pull through and pull through down onto our strap. For me, I've got the last space. You may have had more shells or less shells, doesn't really matter, but the joining on the end is going to be the same for everybody. So 2 double crochet into that space and then 1 double crochet into that end chain. So we'll put in the top of the chain there. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next available shell. You can see we've slip stitched into that one there. So we're going to go in the next one. And then do a slip stitch. And just pull through. I'm just having a look to make sure this looks right, since last time it didn't. So I'm going to pull that through, I'm going to cut my yarn and then put that yarn through the loop and pull snug. So we have our strap attached. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. If you ever hear that noise on my videos, it's me dropping stitch markers into a little glass bowl. It's so pretty. I found this at a charity shop in New Zealand when I very first moved there, and I needed something to put next to me because I didn't have all my usual stuff when we moved to New Zealand, so I needed something to put next to me on my, like where I film my tutorials, and this is perfect. It's tiny and it fits all the bits and pieces in there, and you can't see it, but it just tucks underneath my video camera. But if you've ever heard that noise, and if you've watched enough of my videos, you probably have heard it. then that's what that sound is. So I have another strap and I need to attach that in the exact same way. So do your other strap and then I'll see you for the next section. Pause video and I'll see you there. I have my 2 straps and they are both connected to my skirt. So now what we want to do is crochet all the way around our project. What that means is we're going to crochet around the skirt, because you can see here we've just got a chain. When I finish that off, you've got the same over on this side. You don't have to crochet up the sides of your handles if you don't want to. I think they look fine just the way they are. I do want to just finish off that part there. And also to the top of the bib, which is up here, which is where we did our starting chain. I wouldn't mind crocheting along there. And I'm also going to crochet down the sides. For me, I am going to be using what I have left of the yarn that I have. This one I'm going to try and get just around, where are we? Just around the edging of the skirt that we've got there. So that colour is that colour there. So I'm going to try and use that for that. And then the blue I'm going to use for the top of the bib because it is blue. And then I'm going to see if I can get that to go down the sides as well. So there'll be a bit of changing colour for me, but that's okay. And I still do have this much left. I'd say that's probably about 40 grams. It was originally a 100 gram ball. I'd say there's about 40, maybe 30 grams. So that should be enough. I'm pretty sure that'll be enough to do the straps if I decide to do that. You can basically join this wherever you want, but just for ease, I'm going to join it on the side. So this is our bib going up, and these are the straps at the back, and this is the side, so like sort of where your hips would be. And we're going to join our yarn in. Like I said, I will have to change colours, multicoloured edging. So we want to grab our crochet hook that we have been using for our project. I still have not cleaned that. So you can see our crochet here. We've got 3 stitches where we have joined the handle on into the stitch that I'm going to just start it in the gap here, because I am going to need to, when I come back around with my handles, it's not a bag, it's a straps. When I come around with my straps, I want to do a decrease in that corner there. So I'm actually going to start in the chain space and then I'll finish off the decrease when we come back around. So I'm just joining my yarn like normal. I'm going to use a single crochet for my edging. If you want to do something else, that's fine. You can totally do that. And into each chain space, we are going to work a single crochet, and we're going to work, we're going to work 3 single crochets all together in that same space. You could work into that one if you want. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to work 3, I keep going to do a double crochet, 3 single crochets in each space. You probably only get these spaces on the side of your skirt. You're also going to get them at the top of your bib and a couple other spots, but just here, this is where we're going to get them. And I want this, I'm skipping that stitch here because I do need it to be a little bit tighter around my waist. So by skipping that stitch, it's going to bring it in. So when we get to this is where the bib starts to come up. If you've got a granny square, it's going to be different. If you've made a granny square, you're going to have like an edging like this because it's going to be a granny square. So your 3 double crochets into each space are going to be there. So you just need to single crochet into each stitch. So each stitch across. That's how you would do that if you've got a granny square for your bib. When we get to the end of the row, if you have a granny square, it's going to look a lot different to this. You're going to have 3 double crochet, a chain 1, 2, or even a 3, and then 3 double crochet into a corner if you've made a granny square. That's going to make total sense if you're making the granny square. So you just want to single crochet all the way across. When you get to your chain 3 space, I would like you to put in 3 single crochets into that space, and then continue down this edge doing 1 single crochet into each stitch. If you're like me and you don't have a granny square, we're just going to work in the last space that we have here. This is 3 double crochets all together, so it's just that space where it's like between the first and the second stitch. So in there we're going to put 3 single crochet. I'm just going to mention this just in case it's happening to someone. If this is starting to ruffle, so see how that's kind of bent there? it means you've got too many stitches, but I'm hoping once this is blocked that that's going to block out. If not, I'll just have to redo it. If that's the case, where you've got 3 single crochets in the same stitch, where it's done that buckle, you might just want to put 2. Sometimes I found that my gaps weren't the same size, so this one here easily fitted 3 in there, and so did that one, but then that one probably could have just had 2, because it's, see how it's made a little, that's a technical word. So yeah, I'm just hoping that's gonna block out. We are now up to the top edge, so this is the bit that would be just under your chin. Well, not just under your chin, but it'll be under your chin, up the top of your work. And we're going to crochet across. Again, if you've got a granny square, you're just going to go into each stitch. But I have the backwards and forwards granny stitch, whatever that's called. Straight granny stripe. And we're just going to do 3 single crochets in each space. This should not ruffle at all because it shouldn't. We've got enough space there to put in 3 single crochet. If you find also that your work is curling up and it's going really tight, put in 4 single crochets every now and again, and that will help it lay flat for you. But if it's ruffling, it's definitely because you've got too many stitches. So let's work our way across. It is so hard for me not to do a double crochet since I've just done 11 billion of them in this project. It won't seem like it to you, but this project has been made over about 4 weeks filming this. But the magic of YouTube, it just all appears at the same time, which is awesome. Getting to the end, and I have, what do I have here? I have another space, so I can go in there. And then I have a space here between the first and last stitch. It's a bit tight on mine. I don't know if yours will be as tight as that, but mine's a bit tight, but I'm just going to go into that hole there, into there, and put in 3 stitches. Again, if you're working a granny square, you're just going to work the corner like you get on there, like you did before. By putting these 3 in the corner, even with your granny square, it's going to make it go around the corner better, and it shouldn't curl up. It definitely won't curl up on a granny square, but that should be right. So we're going to work down the other side of our bib exactly the way that we did the other side. So pause the video and I'll meet you when we're ready for the next section. I am coming down the edge of my bib, and this is my skirt. I want to work a decrease, and I'm going to do the first part of the single crochet into the space. So I've done 2 single crochets. I'm going to add my 3rd, so I'm going to go in and pull up a loop, and then I'm going to go into the next space and go in there and pull up a loop, but I'm not going to pull up the blue loop. Trying to find my scissors buried under my crochet. Because I'm coming back down to my skirt one, I want to change to my skirt colour, which was the very first row that we did on our skirt. So for me it's this coral colour. And I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And again, I'm just going to tie that at the back because I don't want that coming undone. It doesn't matter if the stitch here is tight because it's a decrease, so you want it to disappear anyway. So into each space, so this one we need to do 2 single crochet. I'm not actually going to crochet over that end because it's a different colour. Oh, I can crochet over the other one. It's 1 less end to sew in. So this space just needs, helps if you stay in the camera, Claire. This one just needs 2 single crochets because we've already done the first one with that decrease. And then in each space, we're going to work 3 single crochet. My table started squeaking and I've got no idea why. If I lean on it too hard, it squeaks and creaks. It's an old table, so maybe that's saying something. So go all the way across. The next part we're going to get to is the strap. So the strap is here. You can see that there, and I just need to crochet across until I get to my straps. So pause the video and I'll meet you there. We want to work one of those funky single crochet decreases. So I've done 2 single crochets into that space, and I'm going to work another single crochet, but I'm not going to finish it off. And then into the space. So for me, it's just at the end of a row. You can see 3 stitches on the purple there. And in that space between the first and second stitch we got there, I'm going to poke my crochet hook. Then I'm going to grab my purple. I'm also going to cut off my coral colour. You could totally use the one colour all the way around. And then we're going to put the yarn on our crochet hook and then just pull that through. Make sure I've got enough to sew in. Pull it through there. And then grab our yarn, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. All 3 loops. And again, you can see that's gotten loose. I hope you can see that. Gotten loose. So we're going to just tie it in a knot at the back. Into that space that we just did, we are going to work 2 single crochet. And then in each space across, I think we're going to work 3 single crochet. Let's see if that's going to work. I think I think it's going to be too tight. Yeah, okay, so we do need to work 3 single crochet into the end here as well. So we've got our spaces, you can see those pretty well, that's very easy. And then when we've got our 3 double crochets here, we're going to go between the first stitch and the second stitch and go into that space just there with 3 single crochets. Oops, try not to grab any loops that aren't supposed to be there. So then the next one is a space. And then the next one is that space between the first and second stitch. So complete this all the way till we get to the end of the handle on this side. And when we get up here, I'm going to stop when we get to the end. This is just the end of my strap. Did I say handle before? I don't know. Forgive me if I say handle. There's no handles on this. So just stop when we get up to here. So pause the video and I'll see you when we're at the end. I'm at the end of my strap and this is the short end. And into that last one we are going to do 3 single crochet. It's the space between the first and the second stitch. If you've got a granny square, you're going to work it just the way we did on a previous corner. And then over here we are going to work 3 single crochet. 3 single crochet. I'm sorry, you won't have a granny square for this bit. You'll have a strap like this. Everyone will be doing the same thing. You will not have a granny square. Is that 3 or is that 4? I think that's 3. And then over here we're going to work 3 single crochet. And then start again. 3 single crochet on the ends all the way down. And from now on you can pretty much just continue on. You're going to work your way all the way down the strap, and when we get to here we are going to work our single crochet decrease in the corner. I am going to change colour. If you're not, it doesn't matter, but you're going to do the first part of the single crochet decrease into your strap and the second part of your single crochet decrease into that space there. And we're going to work our way all the way around. We should be almost back to the beginning. Okay, and then so our straps here, we're going to go all the way down and then across the back of our skirt and then up the other strap and around. So don't forget, when you've got a right angle, which looks like an L, back to front L at the moment, but looks like an L, that's where you do your decreasing. And then when you come to a corner of something like this, then that's when you do your 3 single crochets in the corners there. So work your way around and I will meet you when we've finished a round. So pause the video and I'll see you when we're at that stage. I am coming around to where I very first started my single crochets. I have done my stitches in there, just double checking. And I'm going to join to the very first single crochet. And then we're going to work as many rounds as you want. I'm going to work 1 more round, maybe 2, so for a total of 3. Just to smooth out the edges now. So we're just smoothing it all out so we can start again. So we're going to chain 1 single crochet in the same stitch and single crochet all the way around, changing colours if you're doing that. When we get to the corners, so you've got our L corners, you're going to do the decrease that we did before and we are going to work 1 single crochet. The first part of the single crochet decrease will be in the last stitch that is on the previous section, and then your new section, your second part of your single crochet decrease is going to be in that first stitch. So the first part goes in on this section and then your second stitch goes on the next section that you're going to crochet into. When we get to the corner, we are going to do 3 single crochets in the second single crochet of the 3 that we did on the corner. So I have done my first one, so my second single crochet there, I'm going to work 3 single crochets, and what this does is it helps it go around the corner without it bending over, and I'll show you what that means. So it'll lay flat. But if there's not 3 in the corner, what it will do is it will curl over like that and it won't lay flat. So that's what we do on any corner. So for me, it will be at the top of the bib and also on each top of my straps, which are just here. So up here and up here. That's where I'm going to do my 3 single crochets. If you've got a granny square, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to have 3 single crochets into your corner, into your chain space, and into that second single crochet of the 3 you want to put 3 single crochets in the corner, and again that will help it lay flat and it won't curl up and look funny. Work all the way around for as many rounds as you like, and I'll meet you for the next part. Pause the video and I'll see you there. We are also going to need some buttons. I'm choosing to use 4 buttons. I would recommend purchasing these after you have made your project. If you have a stash of buttons like I do, then you can always go stash diving. But if you need to buy some, I would recommend buying them after so that you know the size that you need for your buttons. Your buttons will need to fit through the hole that we have created with our crochet. And you want to make sure that they have some sort of give when they go through the hole. You don't want them really loose, but you do want the button to be able to fit through the hole. But you can see if I push that through, it's got some give. I'm not pushing very hard, but it'll stay there in the crochet. So once we've grabbed our 4 buttons, we're ready to stitch them on. I have got some yarn, the same colour as my straps. You could use sewing thread, completely up to you. We also have a needle, which I don't think this is a yarn needle. I think it's too small compared to my yarn needle. It's quite thin and the eyes are quite small. What I plan to do is just split some of this yarn. And I've also got 4 buttons. You may have 2 buttons. It is completely up to you how you want to do yours. I've also got a stitch marker. This is just to remind me which is the right side to sew my buttons on, because if I don't pay attention, I'll be sewing them onto the wrong side of my crochet. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm just going to move this stitch marker up so it's out of my way. Going to grab our yarn and I'm just going to split it. I'm going to pull the threads apart. I just want 1 or 2. You should be able to do this to acrylic yarn as well if that's what you've chosen to use. But basically I'm just making myself a thread. Just pull slowly, it's going to twist around on itself. I'm just sort of pushing that. There we go. It is going to be curly, but that's okay. So I'm going to sew my buttons on these group of stitches here and these group of stitches there. So you can do it wherever you like. Really doesn't matter. So we're going to put our yarn needle, oops, from the back, not the front, through our little hole and then sew back through. You've got to make sure that you've gone through some stitches because that will anchor this on. And pull through. And we're going to tie this in a knot just to secure that at the back. And then we can sew the ends in because for me it's the same colour. So we're going to go through our buttons, buttonhole I should say. I cannot remember how long it has been since I've sewed a button on. Probably the last crochet project that used a button. If your yarn's a bit thicker you may only be able to go through a couple of times. So then turn that to the back. And I'm just going to stitch through a stitch. Just put my, I keep going to say yarn needle, it's not a yarn needle, but whatever. Put our needle under some stitches and then pull through. Before we close up that loop, put your needle through the loop. It's a bit hard to see because it's all the same colour now. And then pull through. And I'm going to tie these in a knot. You're not going to see it at the back because, well, for me it's the same colour and it's so fine that you're not going to see it. And we're just going to sew in our ends. I'm going to sew them down the edging there. This is just the back of our edging that we did. So I'm going to stitch it through there. Pull through. Little part of it didn't come through. That's okay. I'll do that after. So we're going to snip off our ends. And we have our button attached. We're going to grab our other button and we're going to sew it. I'm going to sew my other button over there. You may wonder why I've chose white buttons. Basically, it's the only ones that I could find that were the right size. And I had enough of them in my stash. But hey, who doesn't like polka dots? Anybody not like polka dots? So repeat this for the other strap and the other buttons that we need to do. And pause the video and I'll see you when we've finished our buttons. As you can tell by looking at this crochet, there is a mistake. Can you see it? I'll give you a hint. If you haven't found it, it's in the middle of the screen about now. Just there is only 2 double crochets and this is supposed to be groups of 3. I know there's another one on this project. We've got 2. What do? I found a trick because I'm the queen of not paying attention when I'm watching TV. And then you've done 5 or 6 rows and you look back and you think, I missed a stitch. I'm going to show you a trick that can fix this without frogging all those rows. What we want to do is find where we've got the 2 stitches, and this is so simple you're going to be like, what? So you're going to find where your 2 stitches are, which is here, and we want to put our crochet hook through the second stitch. So we've got the second stitch here, just through the top of the stitch there. You're going to poke your crochet hook through and then just come out the other side of the stitch. So it'll be out into the space where what gets created when we do a granny stitch. So we're going to put our yarn over our crochet hook. I'm literally just laying it on top and then pull it through. You could do a slip stitch or whatever you do to join your yarn in. That's just how I do mine. And I'm going to do a yarn over and pull through. That is just attaching this main yarn to that stitch, the second stitch that we got there. Now what we want to do is complete the stitch. So we're going to do a double crochet because these two stitches here are double crochet. So yarn over, go into the space, the same space where the two stitches here should be. Well, they are. And we're going to yarn over and then complete our double crochet as normal. We are now going to, if you do a chain one, so this project did not have a chain one in between my groups of 3 stitches. There's just 3 stitches and then skip into the next space and 3 stitches. So I don't have a chain one. But if you have a chain one, do your chain one now. So now that we have our 3rd stitch done, what we're going to do is finish off. Leave a little bit extra yarn than you would as normal. So I normally leave about 2 to 3 inches. So just go another inch than what you would normally do. And then we're going to finish it off. So we're just going to yarn over and then pull through. So if you, like I said, if you had a chain one, you're going to grab your yarn needle, you would have done your chain one. So we threaded our yarn needle and we've got our 3 stitches here. You can see it's a bit weird because it's not attached to anything. So you've got your 3 stitches there. And then you've got these loops that come down, which is the group of 3 stitches that's on the next row that goes into this space here. So we're going to go underneath those loops. So just sort of pick them up with your needle and try and go underneath. Doesn't have to be perfect, but get it as good as you can. So we've gone underneath the stitches, I don't know if you can see that, but just in case you can. And we're going to pull this through. See how the stitch is poking out there? You want to pull it through until it's not poking out. And you might have to maneuver these loops here, which is the group of 3 on the next row. Just kind of flip it over the knot that we created there. This is much easier to do. I'm making this look really hard. It's much easier to do when you're not trying to film a tutorial, because I've done it quite a few times before. Come on, you need to hop over that loop, over the knot. Maybe if we keep tension on that and then flick these ones across. It works. I've done it before. Okay, there we go. See how the knots disappeared? And you can't feel this, obviously it's on a tutorial, but I can feel that the knot is underneath these loops. So now the first stitch of the next group of 3 double crochets, if I just turn it slightly, this is where our mistake was, and that's our new stitch. And this is the next group of 3 double crochets. If we were crocheting along, this is that next group of 3 double crochets. So the first stitch of that one, we're going to find it, so which is here, and into the top of that stitch, put your yarn needle through the top of the stitch and pull that yarn through. Probably doesn't matter if you go front to back or back to front, and just pull it snug, which will pull the yarn that's underneath here nice and snug. Again, whatever direction you went, do it again. So I went back to front, so I'm going to go from the back with my yarn needle, come through, and I'm going to put this loop over so I can create a knot to fasten it off. I'm going to do that one more time. And then we're just going to sew in our ends as normal. So if I just quickly poke this to the back, we'll pretend that I've sewn it in. Poke that one to the back, pretend I've sewn it in. We now have 3 stitches and no one's the wiser. If anyone picks that up, honestly, they're way too close to your project. And if you're wearing it like this one, they're way too close. Which one was it? Was it that one? I've just looked away. I was looking over at the computer. Yeah, it's that one. I can feel a tiny, tiny, tiny knot. You can't see it. I need to snip off those little fuzzy ends. Okay, let's scrunch it up and boom. Where was it? Was it there? Yep. I can only see it because I can tell that's where it was. Because I can see that these loops here have got a bit kerfuffled. So just poke them back. But honestly, once it's all, if you're going to wash this item or soak it or block it or anything, even if you don't, you're not going to see it. Look at that. I figured this out quite a lot of months ago, actually. I would say at least a year ago, because I made a blanket, and was it a blanket? Something, I can't remember. It was something with the granny stitch, and I'd made a mistake quite a few rows back like that one, and I just thought I was not in the mood, and I thought, how can I fix it? So we faked it. Fake that stitch. Yes. And I know there's another one. I know there's 3 in this project. I know there's one here. This is the skirt section. You can see where I've tied this yarn around. There's only 2 stitches there. And I know there's another one, but I cannot find it. I need to snip off all these ends. I know it's there somewhere. In that sea. Oh, no, that's not it. In that sea of crochet. Is that it? Yes, I found it. 2 more by themselves. Need to find some yarn. I've got these little ends here. Where was it? Just there. So that's 3 I need to fix. I think there was only 3 in this project. But yeah. I cannot believe I found that. The other day I sat there for like 20 minutes trying to find it. And I couldn't find it. So I need to fix those. But hey, no one's going to know. I hope you enjoyed this project. I would love to see your creation on my Facebook group. There is a link for that in the description box of this video. Tag me on Instagram if you're over there. I would love to see your creations as well. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy crochet.